Nestled along the U.S.-Canada border lies one of the most remarkable natural features on Earth, the Great Lakes, Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and Ontario. Known to some as America's inland seas, they function together as a vast interconnected freshwater system spanning over 95,000 square miles. This system contains 23 quadrillion liters of water, which is enough to submerge the entire U.S. under 3 meters of water. These lakes sustain more than 3,500 species across their forests, grasslands, and wetlands, and are dotted by over 34,000 islands. Today, we will be taking a closer look into the wonder of these Great Lakes to see how they came to be, how they function today, and some of their unique individual characteristics. And as a bonus, we will also briefly explore a few of North America's forgotten lakes. Let's begin with the history of the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes were born over 10,000 years ago as the last ice age drew to a close. Immense glaciers that once blanketed much of North America began to retreat as the earth warmed, carving deep basins into the land. Eventually, the water began to melt and fill the basins, roughly 14,000 years ago, with Lake Erie reaching its present level about 10,000 years ago, Lake Ontario around 7,000 years ago, and Lakes Huron, Michigan, and Superior roughly 3,000 years ago. Eventually, channels emerged, connecting each of the lakes in a continuous exchange of water. This exchange is largely helped by the fact that the lakes are at different elevations, thanks to a crucial process known as isostatic rebound. As the glaciers retreated, the pressure they exerted on the Earth's crust was relieved, causing the land to rise. Isostatic rebound is the reason why this lake's surface is higher than the other lakes, contributing to the vast network of rivers and water flows between the lakes. Let's take a closer look at Lake Superior. Bordered by Ontario in Canada, Minnesota to the west, and Wisconsin and Michigan to the south, lies the largest and deepest of the 5 lakes, Lake Superior. The water journey of the Great Lakes system begins here. Holding 3 quadrillion gallons of water, Lake Superior contains more water than the other 4 lakes combined. Water entering this lake spends an average of 200 years before it continues its journey to the other lakes, eventually draining into Lake Huron via the St. Mary's River. Its vast area spans 350 miles from east to west and 160 miles from north to south with a mean elevation of 600 feet above sea level. Its deepest point plunges to 406 meters and is fed by over 200 rivers, including the Nipigon and St. Louis, which provide fresh, cold water to sustain its ecosystem. The lake's rugged coastline, especially along the north, is a scenic mix of deep bays and high cliffs, with much of the area sparsely populated and dominated by dense forests. These forests play a significant role in the region's economy, along with iron mining, particularly in Michigan and Minnesota. Lake Superior supports a diverse ecosystem with over 80 species of fish, including lake trout, sturgeon, and brook trout. However, due to its relatively low levels of dissolved nutrients, it is classified as an oligotrophic lake, meaning its fish population is not as dense as in other lakes. Which is a shame, because with less than 5% of its shoreline being developed, Lake Superior has managed to avoid much of the pollution affecting the other Great Lakes. This brings us to the next lake in the system, Lake Huron, the second largest of the Great Lakes. The waters in Lake Huron originate from Lake Superior via the St. Mary's River and Lake Michigan through the Straits of Mackinac. The lake itself boasts the longest shoreline, which, being largely underdeveloped, stretches across vast forests and pristine waters, encircling thousands of islands, including the Manitoulin Islands, which are the largest freshwater islands in the world. Lake Huron is 206 miles long and 183 miles wide, with a drainage basin of 51,700 square miles. The lake reaches a maximum depth of 750 feet, and its surface sits at 577 feet above sea level. Its northeastern shores are home to Georgian Bay and the North Channel, where the lake's islands cluster. The region is historically known for lumbering and fishing, while commercial shipping moves iron ore, limestone, and grain across its waters. Unlike Lake Superior, Lake Huron once had a robust native fish community dominated by lake trout. However, overfishing and the introduction of invasive species like the sea lamprey into the ecosystem devastated native fish populations, leading to extensive efforts to restore ecological balance. Its neighbor to the west, however, is a little different. Lake Michigan, the third largest Great Lake, is unique in that it lies entirely within the United States. Bordered by these 4 states, it is conjoined to Lake Huron by the Strait of Mackinac. Because of their orientation, both Lake Huron and Lake Michigan are technically one lake because a consistent flow of water through the straits keeps the lakes at the same elevation. Waters in Lake Michigan drift slowly through a cul-de-sac shape with a generally southward drift around the western side and a northern drift on the eastern side, creating an abundance of freshwater sand dunes. These hills of sand jut out of the water and lie above the usual maximum reach of the waves and are the largest of their kind in the world. Its total area is equally as impressive. It measures 321 miles long and 118 miles wide, with a drainage basin covering 45,500 square miles. The lake's mean surface height is 577 feet above sea level, and its deepest point is 923 feet. More than 100 rivers, including the Grand, St. Joseph, and Muskegon, flow into the lake, contributing to its water supply. Like Lake Superior, the northern shores of Lake Michigan are largely natural and undeveloped. However, the southern end is home to major industrial hubs like Chicago and Gary, Indiana, where large quantities of iron ore and coal are transported. Lake Michigan, like Huron, supports a variety of fish species, including lake trout, perch, and bass. In recent decades, it has been stocked with species such as salmon, which have begun to naturally reproduce in some of the lake's tributaries. The lake's slow-moving water and beautiful natural scenery make it a popular destination for water sports, yachting, and diving among other recreational activities. Further south, we have Lake Erie, the 4th largest lake by surface area, which is the warmest and shallowest of the Great Lakes. Sitting on the international boundary between the U.S. and Canada, with Ontario to its northern shore and the U.S. states of Michigan to its west, Ohio and Pennsylvania to its south, and New York to the east. Lake Erie is 241 miles long and 57 miles wide, with a drainage basin of 30,140 square miles. Its shallow depth of 62 feet on average makes it highly productive in terms of fish populations. The lake discharges into Lake Ontario through the Niagara River, where its waters contribute to the awe-inspiring Niagara Falls. With an average temperature of 11.3 degrees Celsius, its warm waters support abundant biodiversity, including millions of migratory birds. It is also the most biologically productive of the lakes. Lake Erie is home to a rich variety of fish species, making it a major fishing destination, particularly for walleye. The lake's shoreline supports diverse ecosystems, with migratory birds and butterflies stopping over during their annual migrations. In addition to its natural beauty, Erie's watershed provides drinking water to more than 11 million people. Lake Ontario, the smallest by surface area, marks the last stage in the Great Lakes water journey. As water from the Niagara River plunges down Niagara Falls, it passes through 2 parts. The first part is Horseshoe Falls at 188 feet on the Canadian bank, with a longer bank shaped in a curving crescent line at 2,200 feet across. The American Falls lies a short distance away, separated by Goat Island, and have a similar drop of 190 feet at 1,060 feet across. The water then joins Lake Ontario. The lake itself is 193 miles long and 53 miles wide, with a drainage basin of 24,720 square miles. It has an average depth of 283 feet, with its deepest point at 802 feet. The Niagara River provides the majority of its water, making the lake a key part of the region's hydroelectric power generation. Lake Ontario is home to a wide variety of species, including those found in its sand dunes, wetlands, and rocky cliffs. Its forests are dominated by maple, oak, and beech trees, forming part of the Mixed Woods Plains ecozone. The lake is also home to rare alvar habitats and the Oak Ridges moraine, a significant landform that supports groundwater recharge for the surrounding region. To wrap up this deep dive, here are a few of the forgotten lakes in North America which are vital to this system. Lake St. Clair lies in between Lake Huron and Lake Erie with a surface area of 430 square miles. With a shallow depth of only 23 feet deep, a navigation channel had to be dug into the bottom of it to allow ships to pass through. Next is Lake Winnebago, Wisconsin's largest lake, with an area of 206 square miles and an average depth of 4.7 meters. Water from this lake drains into Lake Michigan through the Fox River. Lake Simcoe, on the other hand, drains into Lake Huron and is bigger than Lake Winnebago with a surface area of 279 square miles. In the past, it has served as a vital connection between Lake Huron and Lake Ontario. Today, they are connected via the Trent-Severn Waterway. Lake Nipigon is the largest lake that drains into the Great Lakes, with an area of 1,872 square miles, making it the 29th largest lake in the world. It drains into Lake Huron via the Nipigon River. Lastly, there is Lake Nipissing, which has a surface area of 337 square miles and drains into Lake Huron via the French River. The Great Lakes are not only an awe-inspiring natural feature, but they also serve vital ecological, economic, and cultural functions, from natural water filtration and flood control to supporting industries that rely on 212 billion liters of water per day. This system also supplies drinking water to over 40 million people. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe.